What is up, everyone? I've been hearing a lot of very strange things about Gears of War Judgment. I'll post a link in the description, just showing because I saw a few posts that Epic and them did. Well, it's not even Epic anymore, it's mostly that People Can Fly, the company that's making Gears now. And, they're doing a lot of changes that I'm honestly not very happy with. And basically, okay, well, here are the changes that are they're basically changing Gears from what it is into something completely different. Like, of course, it's still the same basic third-person shooter, take cover, all that stuff. But what they're doing that's a lot different now is, well, one thing that actually, in my opinion, seems completely pointless. I don't see what is the point of this, is they're taking out Locust, basically, in multiplayer. And what I mean by that is when you play multiplayer, TDM, whatever, any other game type you want to think of, it's basically human versus human all the time now. You'll be playing team deathmatch against COG versus COG. And that's kind of pointless. Like, why? That makes absolutely no freaking sense. It's like this is the one thing, like, I'm going to talk about other things, I'm going to say the pros and cons to the other things, but this is the one thing that's basically pointless. Like, it doesn't make sense. Okay, basically the reason why they're making these changes is because they want the game to be more consistent, they want the game to be better, less bullet eating, blah blah blah, etc. But what is it about the Locust character models that really make them different? You know what I mean? I've had people eat as much bullets as COG and Locust. I've never really noticed a difference unless like you're a Savage Cantus or something, because for some reason those things sponge bullets like crazy. But like, besides that, no other Locust really does that. Like, if you really think about it, if you take a normal drone, normal Theron, whatever, the character model is very similar to that of the other characters than like Dom or Marcus or anything. Basically the same thing, just look different. Like, their body's shaped exactly the same thing. So what's the difference between the COG and the Locust that makes them less consistent as what they're implying? So that basically doesn't even make sense off the bat, because how does making it COG versus COG make the game better? And honestly, I think this is a horrible ploy, a horrible attempt to try to make the game more like pleasing to other people. Maybe the little Call of Duty fanboys and stuff. Oh, I don't want to be ugly Locust, something stupid like that. I have a really good feeling that's what it's mostly for, because honestly I don't see how this changes consistency at all. And it's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. I don't know, that's just the one thing that just bothers me. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Yours has always been COG versus Locust, human versus monsters, and for them to take that out, that just basically changes the core dynamic of the game. Like, just changes it completely, and it just makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get it. Honestly, I don't understand how it changes consistency at all. Just maybe take out Cantuses, maybe? They could just do that, because Cantuses always seem to have the weird glitchy models. If you remember, in Gears of War 2, for some reason, Scourge was very glitchy. He would do very weird stuff, like he can freaking fly up through the ceiling or glitch through walls really easy. He had a really weird character model that would do the most weirdest glitches. You play as Scourge in Gears 2, and the weirdest glitches would happen, especially when the smoke grenades would knock you down. But they fixed most of that when they took this, the smoke grenades making you fall in Gears 2. And Scourge was like the worst one, so that's probably why they took him out in 3. And in Gears 3, the Cantuses have a little bit of weird glitches and stuff. I know that the normal Cantus, not the Savage, the normal Cantus, if you headshot him a certain way, like on the tip part of his head, it doesn't do nothing. I've heard of people complaining about stuff like that, and I've even seen it where I'll headshot someone playing as a Cantus with a sniper and it does nothing. So I can understand that part. So take out the Cantuses, but why the Locust entirely? That doesn't make sense. And it's just like, I don't know, when I heard that, it just really annoyed me, because it doesn't make sense at all. Here's the other things, though, I wanted to talk about. Basically, oh, by the way, I want to say this gameplay is actually pretty interesting. If I don't know if you've been watching it or you've just been listening to me. This gameplay is pretty interesting to watch, so I've been saving this one for a while. It's pretty funny stuff happens in it. Okay, but anyways, the things I want to talk about is, like, the Blindfire Reticle. That kind of annoyed me at first, but when you really think about it, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, here's like the pro to it is the fact that they wanted to make sure the game was more consistent on that aspect, because people would always say, "Oh, I hit him with the point blank with the Blindfire, it didn't do nothing." But when you really think about it, you probably missed. Because there's been times where I think that I point blank someone, or I missed. I think I hit them, but then I really think about it and replay it in my head. I'm like, nah, okay, I admit I completely missed that shot. That shot was way off. And I'm just saying that to make myself feel better. I'm pretty sure more than just me have done that. And the reason why they have the Blindfire Reticle is so you can know if you really hit them or not. And that's kind of the pro to it, because it has more consistency. Ugh, God, I failed that word. Consistency. And, you know, it lets you know if you really hit them or not. Because if your Blindfire Reticle is right on top of them, then you should most likely kill them if it's like a Nasher body or something. And that's like the pro to it, because it lets you, you know, you get to actually see if you really hit them or not. But the cons to this is because it takes out a skill factor. It takes out a really big skill factor that Gears always had, and that is the fact that blind fires were always like the coolest thing in Gears. If you got a blind fire with a sniper headshot, you know, you just freaking pull off this unbelievably blind fire, and you freaking hit the dude from like across the map or something. You're like, oh my god, you know, everyone freaks out, oh. But if you have the reticle assisting you doing that, and you're just kind of like wobbling back and forth so you can get the headshot on top of them, it doesn't really make it that skillful, because you're having the reticle around their head. You know what I mean? It's like basically the same thing as back then when I used to hear about in Gears 1, where people would want to draw a little circle in the center of their screen or something like that, or they would put a sticker, I don't know, some shit like that, where they would put something on their screen so they can have that little Blindfire Reticle. And now they're making it an actual part of the game, something that's in the game all the time. That basically takes out the huge, large skill factor to the game, which is blind firing. Because if you know how to blind fire, you are better than someone that has to hard aim all the time. That's just the true fact about Gears. If you have to hard aim the whole time, walking around hard aiming like if you're playing Resident Evil 6 or something, you're not really that good, because you're depending on that too much. And not to mention, it makes your shots a lot slower. There's been times where, like, just for the hell of it, I try to hard aim the whole time, and I basically can't even kill the guy because the guy's running around all crazy, and I'm trying to keep my reticle on him while holding the L trigger, and you're just much too slow compared to that if you were pop-shotting it or if you were blind firing. And that's why pop-shotting and even blind firing and even pop-shotting takes more skill than hard aiming, because of the fact that you have to be very precise. The blind fire without the reticle makes it more skillful, because you have to be very precise to what you're doing. You have to know which way the gun is pointed, etc. As for now, the reticle, it's just there, and it's basically just helping you the whole time, and it's not really blind, like I said in my previous commentary when I was talking about Judgment, that it's not really a blind fire anymore, it's a hip fire, which is just really annoying to hear in Gears of War, because Gears of War has never been that type of game, you know. And honestly, as much as I hate to say this, they're basically they're taking all these dumb things, and they're from like Call of Duty, games like Call of Duty, and they're putting them in Gears, and it's just like, why? You know what I mean? And honestly, I can understand why though, because one thing I hate to admit about Gears is I love Gears, but it has a very poor community. It's very small. A lot of the people hate on each other like 24/7 compared to that of other communities where they have so much more people. And well, I guess I can really take out the hate part, because I'm pretty sure no matter what community you're in, there's a lot of people hating on each other, like especially Call of Duty. Oh my god. But basically, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring up the community, which is actually something Gears really needs. So they're taking out down but not out DBNO, and they're taking out the COG versus Locust, which I could kind of understand the COG. I mean, not the COG, the down but not out, because it makes the game faster. And see, that's another thing. Pro of that is that it makes the game faster. It makes the game very easier to get kills, and it makes the game just a lot more fast-paced compared to where it was before. If you really think about it, all the times that you down somebody, you down them, and then you have to run up to them and curb stomp them or whatever, shoot them, kick them, whatever. But if you really think about it, if you just killed them by shooting them instead of downing them, the game would be like 10 times faster. And I understand that's the pro to it because it'll make the game a lot faster and a lot more accessible to new players. But the bad part to it is kind of the same exact thing, because Gears has always been about teamwork, and defending your teammates. I don't know how many awesome moments I've had while playing Gears when my teammate, I play with people I actually know, and I play with my brother, I play with a bunch of good friends I have, and there's been really cool moments where like my older brother or someone I really like playing with gets down, and I'm like, oh shit, they're down, and I rush them, and I freaking rush the dude that's downing them, and I'll body them, or headshot them, or snipe them, or something, and then all my friends are like, oh my god, and you pick them up because you saved them. You save them while they're completely defenseless on the ground, and that makes Down But Not Out really awesome and gives Gears that unique taste that no other game has. But if you take it out, yeah, it makes the game more fast-paced and more accessible for other players, but it takes out that awesomeness. Not to mention the fact that it takes out executions. How awesome in Gears 3 is it when you rip off someone that's, what if you're playing against an asshole and he's teabagging you and you're like, what the hell, this guy's teabagging me, and then you down him and you're like, oh, I can't wait to rip this guy's arm off, rip his arm off, or beat him down, whatever, conquer Locust, rip his arm off, and then all your friends start teabagging him, you're kicking him out, and how many awesome moments I've had like that. And with that taken out, that just kind of makes Gears not as awesome. Gears has always had that type of awesomeness where you can basically literally beat the shit out of the person that you're mad at in the game and have your friends basically saying ha 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 while they're kicking you and teabagging them or whatever, and I know that sounds kind of immature, but yeah, it's what made Gears really cool, because yeah, the funny part that I just said, but also the fact that it adds more skill in a way because you have to save your teammate, whereas if they just die and you're like, oh no, my friend died, okay, they're gonna respawn, like, I don't know, there was no point in taking out like Down But Not Out, except the fact that it makes it faster, which in a way can be good, but we'll see how the game. One last thing though, is that kind of annoys me, is they're taking out King of the Hill and replacing it with Domination. Domination from Call of Duty. Okay, that just proves it right there that they're Call of Duty-izing Gears. That just makes no sense. Like, I don't really care about King of the Hill, but just hearing Domination in Gears just doesn't sound good to me at all.